Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA.
And you're live.
Okay. Anyways, haven't got much content out this week, been very busy. But Chris and I thought we'd take a moment here and just talk about the market in general. So we've had a bunch of layoffs today, a lot of that I haven't even seen in there. There's some big companies around here that are cutting loose a lot of people.
Check this out. Google laid off 12,000 people today.
Yeah, I heard that early this morning. Yeah, and there's another one.
And then there was, in this article I was reading here, in that same article it said that Amazon began a fresh wave of job cuts affecting more than 18,000 people. And that was on Wednesday. And then that same day, Microsoft also announced they're laying off 10,000. So all of this, big tech it's laying off.
Well, and I'm in a big tech area, and one of my jiu-jitsu buddies actually, we were going to roll, and he said, I can't. Somebody decided to lay off a bunch of people today. And so basically he couldn't roll because he's having to put out some fires, or, who knows. I don't know if he's part of the human resources or what.
Yeah, and then as I was kind of doing some digging today, Tom, because I was notified of the Google layoffs, and then I saw that actually I had a friend, they were laid off. They're in the healthcare system, and I looked, and there's just recently there were 14 hospitals and healthcare systems nationwide that were laying off hundreds of people.
Yeah, well,
it's not good.
Yeah.
And then to top all of that, this is what a lot of people do know about. Is the Treasury Secretary, but we'll get to that in just a minute. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right. So we're back.
So Chris is at the controls, and not that I'm any better, but
you are. You're more
I'm
experienced.
I'm enjoying this. That I don't have to touch anything for a bit.
We're trying to get so where you can just talk about real estate and investing, and I can help drive over here.
Yeah. Anyways, so it's not as easy.
No, it's not
It's
easy
not
at
all.
I just want to sit here. I just want to sit here and talk to you, but I actually got to do some stuff over here. So.
Anyway, so hey, if you just got here, please hit that subscribe button, and it helps the channel. And if you just got here, I've been investing for 41 years, started at 19 years old. I was a millionaire in the 80s, and it's just there's no better way to get wealthy than with real estate. And so Chris here is one of my students, and we've got a bunch of others, and he, like a lot of the other ones, has quit his job, and he's a full-time investor. And he comes over here and tinks around here with me as a favor, and that's a cool thing. And so anyhow, all good stuff, and hopefully some of the other people from class will pop in maybe.
Yeah.
Also interested in whether you guys like this format. We just got this. This is some of our new stuff here.
Someone recognized it. They said, new look.
Yeah. We're just trying to get a little more. We're working out the kinks, but it's nice.
Yeah.
So what were we going to talk about?
Yeah. So
steps to take or something.
Okay. So here's the deal. Kind of the cue here is the sirens are going off. The blinking lights are going off. There's been a lot of layoffs in some big name sectors in our country. But to top all of that, what people are also probably familiar with is what happened with us hitting our debt ceiling. So if I could, I'm going to read this paragraph, and I'd like for you to respond to it, Tom, and like kind of your thoughts.
This is where I have to have another omnibus bill.
So
keep the government floating.
Yeah. So Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen wrote a letter to the House Speaker saying, "Look, the nation's outstanding debt is at its limit," and it said that the agency will implement extraordinary measures so it doesn't default on its debt, which would have enormous consequences on the U.S. economy, global financial stability, many Americans.
This is always the normal shit that they throw out there before they pass it, and just everybody's going to sign off on it. That's what they always do.
Well, she said the measures would last through June 5th, whatever that means.
Yeah. listen, it's terrible because each side uses the other as an excuse
Right.
to like I say, nobody wants to, take credit for spending, and but they both sides do it like crazy.
Yeah.
They do.
So
Just different things.
So here's what it's kind of one of those things that it's hard. It is hard to hear. I mean, you got, like I said, I had a friend that lost their job, and they've been in the healthcare industry for a long time. And so people that have lost their jobs, you said something today when we were talking. It's like, well, yeah, people have lost their jobs, but sometimes you also have to live in such a way, acting like you're gonna lose your job. Preparing for it, financially.
Right, and I call it preparing for the crash, anyways, in general. And it's just kind of, you're going to have a rainy day, anyways. And I mean, we're all going to have a rainy day coming. There's no question this is coming. But sometimes you get them outside of it, right? You have a rainy day, you lose your job, and things are good, or tough stuff happens for a lot of reasons, or a lot of different stuff. So it's just always good to prepare. Listen, the best thing when you're prepared for a crash, meaning money in the bank. Keep your overhead low. I was really lucky as a young man. I loved to work. I wanted to make money more than anything, to be honest. That's what and I'd get up early in the morning and, I'd get my ham and eggs and stop at the cafe. Everything opened at 5 a.m. And so I'd be working, at my cabinet shop at 6 a.m. And I mean, I would work. It'd be dark when I'd close up at night. And because I didn't want to be poor, I was intent on having money. And so, anybody that's self-employed knows what I'm talking about. You work, you don't want to fail, and you don't want to go back to working for somebody else. It's just kind of how it is.
So, thousands of people out there. I mean, people lose their job every year, but when you lose it losing it in the droves, right? So if I just lost my job, Tom, what's some financial advice you would give me?
Well, I think, everybody's different. And I've only lost a job once because I started my own business when I was very young. So what I recognize in being broke is you just kind of assess your skill set. And I always tell my boys, get skills. You got to get skills, and it's nice when you have a diverse. And the older you get, the more diverse you become. If you're a salesman, you can sell anything, right? You can jump around there. If you're a mechanic or something, you work for another garage. Well, you can certainly make a card and start, doing some work, or people. Usually any business you've been in, you kind of know there's a trail over here you can jump on. This is the best part. Sometimes losing your job is the best thing in the world, by the way, because you would never be self-employed, and that's what a lot of this will lead to is self-employment. When you lose your job, it's like, well, I guess I'll start my own business now. It's good,
Right.
if you're prepared for a crash. That's what I did. I remember I used to have paychecks just sitting on my desk, and my boss would be like, Tom, when are you going to cash your checks?
Yeah.
There's money in my bank that I can't use, and
Sure.
I know it's you. And so, I'd cash my checks. But I had my overhead so low that's it. I mean, and I'm self-employed, and I just throw my checks on the counter.
But cut the fluff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, stuff that you're not using.
Oh, yeah.
Don't buy the $8 coffees. If you're not using a gym membership, stuff like this.
Listen, feeling good is a lot better than looking good, because it's a lot of stress in looking good. And a lot of people, they call it keep up with the Joneses and that sort of thing. And you'll see, somebody that can buy a Mercedes cash and not even think about it. And then you got somebody that's that person's friend or whatever, for whatever reason, then they buy it. And now they've got a debt that they don't need. I mean, maybe it's too late for some people in that respect. It's just how it is. But just keep your overhead low. It's the best thing you can do. I clean house every once in a while too. This is one of the few times that I don't have property in escrow. This happened a couple times this year just because the way things are changing. I have things in escrow that I'm selling, but I don't have anything in escrow that I'm buying, and that's kind of unusual. But the market's really screwed up right now. The interest rates have gone up, and money's very expensive to borrow. The people that have bought before me many of them are upside down in the products that they bought. Stuff that they could have bought and turned and made a profit on. Right now, they were lucky to get a wash and get rid of it. And they're starting to come to that they're coming to that realization. Go ahead.
Well, and with that, in a declining market,
But to say,
in a declining market, this can be difficult too because as an investor, if we're talking about real estate investing, you could see something, they're like, oh, that's a good deal. Well, it may have been a good deal 3 months ago or 6 months ago, but if it continues to decline, I mean, you don't want to be caught with something that just keeps on falling.
Right. And like I say, but you shouldn't. In fact, when we were watching that Thatch video, Thatch Nguyen is his name. Thatch Nguyen, Vietnamese guy, I think. Anyways, he had said when I did that video on him the other day, he'd said, I'm hanging on to this property. I'm not going to sell now. I'd lose too much. But see, I don't even think in that same way. And he's been around a long time, and what he sounds like he might be a pretty good investor. I don't know anything about him, but well, that's different about me than him. I can tell you right now. I don't care that my property values have gone down particularly. I mean, I might go, I wish I'd have sold it when I could have a little while ago, and then because I want the cash. But also, you got to remember, everything's relative. If everything's going down, then everything I'm going to buy is cheaper as well. Just even if you just talk retail, and I don't like to buy anything retail, but just say even retail right now. If like I just sold a house, I just closed a house the other day for $403,000 that I paid basically $297 for less than a year ago. So, and I put in some money, but I mean, I still in a declining market, I bought it, and I'm still flipping it and making $50,000-$60,000. And after the agent's fees and everything, and then I got another little one that'll make maybe 20 on, and I bought that only a few months ago, the Red Rum house.
Right.
And so you can always buy and sell property at any time. It's always a good time to buy as long as you pay the right price for it. You got to buy it under market. But if you're buying in a declining market, you got to buy far enough below market that whatever that that ratio is of things are going down, that you buy it low enough that you can resell it again, while it's going down. But you bought it far enough under that, you got a margin here no matter what. It's shrinking, and you got to get rid of it along the way. And the other hedges you can take against stuff like that, if you're lucky enough to get something owner financed, that's kind of a nice thing. If you get some owner financed property, it's somebody can assume that debt at whatever you had already put it in place at. So if you arranged a 4% loan on whatever $1 million, it doesn't matter, $100,000, whatever it is, someone else can take over that loan. And so, again, these are the hedges I think about when I get into properties. I think, well, what if things go bad? Or what if, I've got a certain amount of property that's all paid for anyway, so I've got a hedge and I've got some space and I've got assets that carry other assets if needed. But, I don't know, I'm going to get off topic there, but I would just say anybody here, if you better prepare for losing your job, even if you haven't, you got to prepare. Right. And that means in every way, just, cut the overhead, number one, assess your skills. Is there something else you can do? Maybe there's something you can do part-time that'll make almost as much as you make full-time where you're at.
And man, that is the beauty of real estate. I was thinking about this today when we were watching the interview on Rich and talking about he's like, I could quit my job if I wanted to, and I'm set. The cool thing though about not having that option but continue to work your job is, if you're a single person and you have a full-time job and now you've done well in real estate, it's almost like you have two incomes. If you're married, now you have 3 incomes, and every time you pick up another piece of property, it's a whole other income stream.
Yeah, a lot of people don't set their standards high enough, and it's because they don't realize they can. You know what I mean?
Right.
And,
you get trapped in the 8 to 5 and thinking about just one paycheck or...
Well, or some people set a goal and then they hit it and they're like, okay, I made it. So then they and for me, it's always you set it higher. You set it higher. You always, it's like, I thought I'd be happy with $1 million, but no, I'm a hell of a lot more than that. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And then it grows, and then, but also your expenses grow, and then, pretty soon you're sitting there and you realize maybe you got, a lot of things you don't need. Like I have things I don't need. I I have a vacation home and it's just sitting empty. I don't Airbnb it, and you know what I mean?
We have the luxury of choice too.
I do. But there's a practical part of me that sometimes thinks, what am I doing? I should probably just rent that thing, but I do enjoy it, and I do use it often. So
You can go whenever you want.
yeah, I do. So that's
sense.
not a big deal. But again, so like I say, as your income grows, of course, you have those options of, you know what I mean? And so, well, I'm cutting back. And, you know, they could still be riding around in a Maybach and have a driver, you know what I mean?
Right.
And a jet, you know?
Right. But all this, real quick, Tom, all this has to do, all this financial advice, real estate investing, all of that, you share a little bit of your own journey in your book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, and you also tell other people how you can do that as well. And if you guys haven't seen Tom's book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, you can get that on Amazon, Kindle. It's a bestseller there. Go check it out. But he shows you how to build your own portfolio, and that's actually what I'm doing right now is building my portfolio of of real estate.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because Chris is one of the people in my class. He's been in here a long time now, a couple of years.
Yeah.
And we got other people. And right here, Ken, he's made $1 million. And Tina here, you know, she's done real well. And if you scroll that up, there's even there's even more people. Yeah. There's all kinds of people here. But he mentioned Rich earlier. We have a new video coming out. It's already done. I invited him a while ago. You know, and Rich, like I said, he's made. I think he's close. He's rolled 3 land deals into 3 building purchases. 1 industrial, 2 resident, or 1 industrial, 2 retail, and you know he's made over $1 million, 3 or 4. I mean, he made a hard cash over $1 million, and then with that $1 million, he rolled into another $3 million worth of property, and has a margin in there. So he's got $1.3 million debt, and he's got $3 million in assets.
Yeah.
And that's something he didn't have before the mentorship. And he's just a quick study like you and other people. You know, a lot of people are quick studies. They pick it up quick. And, you know, Russ just killed the deal too. And he's another one.
And what's a real beauty, again, going back to Rich's situation as an example, because we're in hard times and there are people losing their jobs left and right.
It's going to be harder.
It's going to get harder. But here's the cool thing about real estate investing is you can use this as a hedge of protection against your own finances and continue having the same job that you have if you like your job, like work where you're passionate about. Or you can say, you know, kind of like I have, hey, I think I'm going to go all in here and I'm going to really just focus on real estate, right? But if you hit hard times, man, you have such a safety net to fall back on.
Right. Well, and see, like Chris here, it's funny because, so Chris, he had a house he bought. And I remember when you came into, I'm not taking credit for you selling your house, but you did come to me.
I did.
And you said, hey, what do you think? I go, man, it's a no-brainer. Get rid of that house. He told me how much.
We crunched the numbers, right?
We crunched the numbers together, and I'd say, yeah, Chris, I would get rid of that in a second. And what's funny is, and he did sell it, and he reasoned out for himself that it made sense.
It was hard. Emotionally,
he was emotional about it. I'm saying, well, dude, you got to get rid of that.
Because it was a place that I'd always, like, you know, as I told you, I was like, man, I'm going to, you know, this is a place I might retire someday, have the grandkids, you know, kind of get, you know, you think about those things.
Yeah, and that's what you got to lose, to be honest, when you're young. You don't have to own it. You know what I mean? You don't have to own. I mean, I'm older. I got a vacation. I don't have to own it. You can rent what I have.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
For a couple of weeks out of the year that you get to use it.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. But back to what I was talking about with Chris is, and this goes back to the point of this video. You know, dress for the crash. And so when he was telling me the value, and I said, dude, you're at the, you know, it's at the top. You know, as long as you can sell it within the top 20% of its value.
And it was.
Yeah, and he probably hit it at the tippy top, to be quite honest, because it's gone down.
Yeah.
And so he sold his property with $700,000.
I sold it for $738,000.
$738,000, and this property he paid originally $150,000 for it, and he pulled some money out of it in the interim.
Yeah, I did a cash out refinance to buy a couple properties.
Yeah, and so he's used the asset and the money to its full max, and then what does he do in it? He discards it when it's at the peak of its value, and now it's somebody else's, and now he's got the cash. And so here he is. He bought a lot.
Well, I got some of it. Some of it was a 1031 exchange.
Right. He bought some property, rolled into an exchange, but in the power is having cash, and like, this is all part of it because I've been there. He said, hey, I got this one property I can buy, you know, kind of clean me out, but I'll have 7-8%, that one little, you know, he figured out. And I'm saying, well, dude, didn't you just make 100% on your cash? And he said, because he's bought a lot for $100,000. He's already got an offer of $200 on it, and he's holding out for $250 now. But the point is, he made $100,000 with $100,000, and it didn't take him a year. He's getting more than 100% if you did it on an annual basis.
Right.
You know, you're making it you're just getting it like that.
Oh yeah, it was like 6 months.
Yeah, and so it doesn't make sense. I said, why would you tie up all your cash for 8% when look what you just did?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to take 4 years for him to. I mean, he's going to put $400,000 in that other deal. I mean, if you did, that $400,000 would not produce the income that he produced. It would take 4 or 5 years for him to produce the same income as he did with one deal with $100,000.
Right, and so that's what I'm learning in the mentorship and from your teachings, Tom. Is I hope like most other people. But it takes hearing things 3 or 4 times to finally understand, like, oh yeah, this is how this works.
Well, a lot of times you suspect you're doing the wrong thing. Like, gee, I'm kind of being emotional. I really shouldn't think about living now. And you're right. But sometimes you need somebody to tell you, say, yeah, you're off track. That's not good. And you say, yeah, I didn't think I was thinking it through the right way.
That's
or vice versa. Yeah.
That's the beauty of having a great mentor.
Yeah. Well, and so it is. I mean, it is a wonderful thing. Listen, I look at the way I am with Chris and other people in the class. It's just like you guys calling Microsoft for support on a program or whatever you got. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. And I mean, listen, we all do it, right? I get in a gym, I don't know how to fix this shit. And so I contact somebody that it's second nature to them. Oh yeah, do this, and bam, all of a sudden I'm 100%, whether it's a computer getting repaired or anything else, or organizing some files or something gets jammed up in my computer. I'm kind of like that guy, but for just real estate dealing and negotiations, because that's what I've been doing so long.
Yeah, Barry asked in chat, should I buy a private jet?
Yeah, Barry. Yeah.
Oh man. Hey, here's a good question from Matt. Matt said, in past recessions, have you found it to be any more difficult to get an investment mortgage from a bank compared to better economic environments?
Yeah, no, listen, this is what happens to the bank. They have a lot of inner workings that people, in other words, the bank knows if they're stressed or not. They know how much debt's going bad and how much is going good. And when they tighten up in the ways that they tighten up, it comes from the top. You know what I mean? And they got the best demographics of anybody anywhere and everything. You know, that's what they do. They're specialists in loaning money. And so sometimes the bank might have a problem that affects the lenders from being able to lend. And then, of course, the economy can be the problem. But, it's just like, like Wells Fargo had a big deal because, it turned out somehow or another they were doing something wrong, ripping off the customer to a degree. Mm-hmm. It was really damaging them. Yeah. And, but right now, what happens is, every banker wants to keep their job, and their job is having good loans. And so, if, I remember being younger, and I had a great rapport. Me and my banker, we'd go have lunch twice a week, and we'd get drunk. We'd drink margaritas at lunchtime. It was just part of me keeping in good with the bank, and he thinks he's keeping in tight with me, and I'm keeping in tight with him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're keeping that relationship going. But when times get tight, it's like, hey, we gotta, I gotta kind of, make sure, we gotta look at the books. We want to look at your leases. We want to see that you're leased up. We want to see how many vacancies you have. I mean, these are the things that banks are interested in continuing the relationship. And, and you'll think, sometimes you feel like, geez, I've been paying you on time for 10 years on this loan, and now you want to, it's like I'm requalifying for the loan,
right.
And you take offense to it. But what it is they got to do what they got to do because the government has so much oversight on them now. And this came out of 2008, 2009.
Right.
That's why. Yeah. And so,
PGM said, when will they ever stop raising the debt? I think he's talking about the national economic situation where the debt ceiling just keeps going higher and higher.
They're never going to stop. Nobody. Yeah. The problem is it's almost like you got children in charge, and they don't understand the value of a dollar and don't care, and they figure out, well, we'll be dead by when it crashes. So I don't think the government has any respect, and the people that run it, Yeah. And nobody can stand tall anyways because there's too many people around them, self-serving, and so what do you do?
I mean, it's pretty common in our world, though, right? I mean, this is something I don't know. I'm asking a question here, mm-hmm. But it's pretty common in our world. Most countries operate off of a borrowed system. Like people owe people all around the world. countries all around the world.
Yeah, I
know
mean,
each
but that's a
other.
simplistic way of.
So how did, at what point though does it become hyper unbalanced, or like, oh, this is...
The problem is that we used to deal with a balanced budget. You know what I mean? We used to be on a balanced budget, and I think it was when we went to war that we had to kind of overtax the system in order to, you know. And then they realized, oh, hey, we can run a deficit, and then nobody's cared ever since.
Yeah.
Or they pretend to care and don't do anything about it, or pretend the other side's forcing the hand, and then, you know, that's kind of how it works. But
anyway, go back to the original topic of the layoffs, right? Because that's what this video was about. You've got thousands of people being laid off. Inflation is still happening. They keep raising, you know, the interest rates. I mean, how fast will this tailspin, Tom? Like, what's coming next?
You know, I've never been more comfortable in my life, so it's not the same for me as it was when I was younger.
Right.
But I can just, you know, I remember pretty well, you know, just, you know, digging, looking for work. You know, I mean, I made flyers, knocked on doors, and all kinds of stuff. This is for my cabinet business.
Right.
But it wouldn't have mattered. You know, there's always something going on. I was always looking for something to buy, to sell for more. Real estate, money dries up. You know, once in a while you get in a position where you're actually making money and everybody else is broke around you. And that's a wonderful thing, because then you can sit here and pick up the pieces. You know, it's devastated here, you know, where you're at, but you're making money for whatever reason. You've got something solid. But short of that happening for you, if you don't already have that going for you, then you got to be somebody that is, you know, you're fighting for work. You know, and usually it's, you know, who's the cheapest, and you know what I mean.
Right.
If it's that type of business.
Right.
But you know, right now, main thing is if you, like I said, I just say dress for the crash, and I can't sound like a broken record about keeping your overhead down, but it's the best thing you can do is stop those bills from coming. And the only way to do it is to drop those goods and services. Maybe start taking care of your own swimming pool. You know, I mean, there's a lot of money can be saved on there for some people.
Sure.
And you know, I don't know. I just know that right now you better be an asset to your boss.
Yeah.
And because people are losing their jobs, and of course everybody knows that watching. You know, if you don't, you're going to learn a hard lesson.
I do. So I still have an Airbnb, Tom. That's one of my properties, and you saw it. You know, tiny little place. It was interesting. This last year, it really slowed down. Like, and if you look at the trends on the internet, the short-term rental business. If you have a short-term rental, maybe you can identify with that as a short-term rental owner. But we saw kind of a dip in numbers. I think because it's kind of like everybody did the short-term rental thing. Everybody wanted an Airbnb. It was kind of the hot.
Well, there's more
hot
of
craze.
it. There's more of it.
Yeah.
So there's more choices, and
Right, but people stopped. People also slowed down with their travel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious, going into this upcoming travel season, spring break and summer, I'm curious to see with just the way the financial markets are, people being laid off, I'm curious to see what the trends do there as well.
I don't know. You know, the thing is there's going to be bargains, because anybody. I mean, when people are hurting, they sell their dreams, they sell the property that they planned on, you know, doing this or that with, and you know, sometimes they got to give it up just to save their credit.
Yeah.
So
PGM said, what agent fees would you pay to look after your B&B? PGM, if I understand your question correctly, agent fees, maybe you mean property management fees, and in my opinion, that's actually where you make a good amount of your money. Is I actually have my housekeepers, they are my management, so because they're in there after every guest.
Yeah, I think he's asking what part of the rent you give up to them.
Yeah, it's a cleaning fee. I mean, they're part of my.
Yeah, it's like a maid service.
Yeah,
basically.
but a little bit more, you know. And I tell them, hey, if there's a broken window, I want to know about it, and I'll even pay them, because it's cheaper to pay them than management company. Like, hey, I'll pay you a cleaning fee to show up at the house and meet the window people. You know, I want before and after pictures to, you know, to take care of the broken window, that kind of stuff. So, anyway, what else? What else do we want to talk about?
I'm out of my element because I can't see any of the controls.
Well, you don't need the controls. You just talk.
Yeah. No, I tell you what. if you're working, fantastic for you, but this is the time to worry about, this is the time to and just frighten yourself, really scare yourself. I do it to myself,
Man, I would say 2 or 3 months ago, when you were running around, you're checking on all your properties and making sure you had all your tenants in place. I was like, man, Tom looks kind of worried. And then you're like, hey, everything's fine. I got it all taken care of. I was like, well, you do have it all taken care of, but it's also because you were like making sure it was taken care of.
Yeah, no, that's truth. And so like this month I'm really done. I was so happy, 100% full. Had one vacancy, out of 185,000 square feet, I had 700 square feet empty.
It's amazing.
It's very little. And and then, shortly after that, I had 2,500. I don't know, maybe 6,000 square feet come available, but I got 90% of it released before it was, so I didn't lose a penny of rent because the new lease took over when the other one ended. So that's been nice. And these are, this is me just doing a good job. I'm just watching things closely. And like I say, when he's talking about me running around, really what I was doing, I was running around getting close to all my tenants again. You know what I mean? Because you want to know who's in trouble or not, and you kind of get a feel. And, how's business? I'm not asking how's business. I'm asking, I'm worried about how's my business going to be. Rent? Yeah, are you going to be healthy? Are you going to be renewing? You know what I mean? All that sort of thing. And once in a while I see, look, I had a guy, I come up to collect rent, and he said, how's things going? He said, ugh, terrible. And I could see it in his face, he ain't going to make it. And then about a few days later, we talked, and he says, hey man, I'm pulling out. I'm going to pull out. And I said, well, you know what? I said, look, I'll cut your rent in half if it'll help you, for a month or two. And he said, yeah, thanks. But the thing is, once you're done, you're done.
Yep.
So I knew I never going to see him again.
Yeah.
And, and like I say, I try to help everybody, here and there where I can and when I can. But sometimes the writing's on the wall for some tenants. You know what I mean? You can tell. Like
It's easier.
9 out of 10 fail.
It's easier just to let them go than try to work through it.
Yeah. Everybody's different, and you don't have. I don't like judging I don't like ever looking at someone and thinking, they're going to fail, because you know what? I think people used to look at me that way. You know what I mean? And so who knows?
Yeah.
But and it doesn't really affect anything, anyways.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Hey, would you like to talk about the website, FlipAnythingUSA website, and let people know how they can join mentorship and stuff like that? You can take a look at it right here.
Sure. Yeah. Well, just go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, and you'll see this stuff here. And there's a mentorship survey. You can take the mentorship survey. This will also get you on my mailing list, which you should do. Take the mentorship survey, or sign up for the free webinar, or just write me, Tom at FlipAnythingUSA.com. But get exposed to the people that are in my class. Watch the testimonials that you see on here. Get the book. The book's a no-brainer. It'll cost you $10, and I think you can send it back if you don't like it. $20 in paperback. And if you don't like it, you can send it back for a refund. But whoever does that. But it's better to spend $20 now than get taken advantage by some fake guru. There's people that just specialize in fleecing you out of your money.
Right.
And I'm not one of them.
But you hit a pretty cool milestone the other day, Tom. I'll brag for you, but you've got over 300 hours with your investors, the investors.
Oh
that are in
yeah,
your
just classroom time. Yeah.
Like none of this is on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is private. This is private. It's in the mentorship. But those that do join the mentorship get direct access to all those hours.
Yeah. People go. We have them archived, and so people can go back. It's pretty neat because this is little over 2 years of mentoring. I've done over 100. There's only 50 weeks in a year, so out of a little over 2.5 years. It's
very consistent.
Yeah, I've been really consistent. But anyways, every time I do a meeting, it's 3, sometimes 5 hours. So there's well over, I just hit our 100th meeting. And so there's over 300 hours there. And it's all, every bit of it, there's something to be learned. There's just so many cool lessons in there. And a lot of it that would never come about if it wasn't in a classroom situation. And guys like Chris buying properties that they're buying, and Russ and Rich and Liam and
I mean,
Ron.
the proof
There's
is
so many
the
people.
proof is in the
Yeah,
pudding. The
yeah.
proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
What you teach in your book, in the mentorship, when people actually put those into practice.
Yeah, it for sure works. It does. I mean, you know what? That working is no surprise to me because I've been doing it forever. But and then it's second nature to Chris now and others. And you know, the only person that's surprised is the person for the first time when they figure out, oh my gosh, this is going to work. You know, and it's a great place to be. If you're, and listen, there's people I turn down. You know, if I don't feel like you have enough cash. In other words, if you're 30 years old and you want to get in my thing and you got to go put it on a credit card to get in, you know, you're probably not the best candidate for it. You know, you're a little tighter than you should be at that age. Now, if you're younger, it might make sense, but the bottom line is you have to have the discipline to save some money. I mean, at least when I see somebody that saves money, it tells me they've got a discipline.
Yeah.
That will be handy.
I have a feeling I know how you'll respond to this question. I'll put it out there. They asked, I just started looking at houses, and I'm concerned that after lowballing a few houses at 30% off, the agents will consider me a time waster. What's your view on this?
Well, you kind of are a time waster because you're not going to get anywhere doing it that way.
Right.
Just, I mean, this guy. Oh yeah, just make a bunch of lowball offers, and what you will become is a real estate agent's waste of time.
Red flag.
Well, you are. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's because you're not doing the right thing. I'll just tell you right now.
They probably don't have your book.
Yeah, you probably don't have my book, number one.
Yeah.
You definitely don't have my book. You haven't been in the class, that's for sure. But yeah, you're doing the wrong stuff, and you know, I mean, but you're 100% right. You should be worried about that. I mean, so I give you credit for just being smart enough to worry about it, or maybe you just experienced it. But yeah, nobody, you know, listen, everybody's going to pre-qualify you. If you're going to go talk to an agent, you listen, the first thing I do is I say, yeah, I own that and that and that and that and that, and I let them know that I'm very wealthy, and so that they understand that they're not wasting their time.
Well,
and
not only
it
that you're
takes you gives you a whole lot more respect, and you'll get a lot more information. Like, maybe there's, you know,
not only wealthy, but like, hey, this isn't my first deal. Like, I know how a transaction works. I know.
Oh, you know more than them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, PGM said, "Is there a emerging trend in commercial tenants that you're seeing, Tom? Any new industry coming?" Maybe I think he's saying, is there an emerging trend in commercial tenants that you're seeing? Any new industries coming?
I mean, the only new stuff that I've seen in the last years, Chinese massage has taken over.
Probably CBD stuff.
Well, yeah, I was going to get to that too, but what I was going to say is, you know, there used to be a lot more independent massage people throughout the industry. They just operated, they're independently, and the Chinese folks have come in and just took all the money out of it. And and I believe me, I have learned my tenants now. You know, a lot of these people, I have a couple Chinese massage parlors, and they do a good job, but they pretty much killed an industry of independence. You know, also chiropractic, same thing. You got the joint chiropractic. You know, they've taken chiropractic and turned that into kind of a fast food facility of a sort. You know, where people are running in and out. They've taken a lot of money out of it. For the chiropractors that ran individual businesses. And then, like I say, the new stuff is vape, of course, vape and CBD, and I've got some of that too.
Which I heard, I don't remember my source, but they were saying that, like, look, CBD early on, it was very lucrative, but now it's so saturated that you're not making much money in that business.
I don't know. It could be. I don't know. It's so weird. There's so much weird shit. You can get CBD with THC, which is what everybody wants. Mm-hmm. You know, THC is what you're after. You know, the marijuana product. But now they got this Delta 8, or they got people that are buying hemp that looks just like weed, but it doesn't get you high. But they spray it, basically lace this weed with a chemical that you can smoke, and now you get a high, but it's all legal stuff. So, and why anybody would put that in their lungs, I don't know.
Jeez,
But yeah, and then they got gummies, and they got vape, and they got all this other stuff. And I've never been a fan of pot in general, just because it makes me feel stupid and paranoid, and so I've never really loved it. But my mother, who has dementia, she was actually eating some of those things when I first took over her care.
Right.
And I remember I ripped one in half because I thought she was one and she'd been taking it. I thought, well, I wanted to get her relief. And so as a precaution, I just ripped it in half, and I took half and gave her. And then I was like candy, and I took another two.
Oh, no.
And then I just
Oh, no.
I go, oh boy.
I messed up.
Yeah, I messed up. Time to go home.
Oh, man.
Go to sleep.
Oh, man.
But
oh, man. Well, to all those really, I mean, this is coming from me, but to all those that have lost a job here in the past, whatever, couple weeks, I hate that for you. But I really do hope that you can turn a corner with some of Tom's advice. And
yeah. Everybody, listen, you can't, I mean, really, it's just common sense. It's just common sense. I'm a simple guy. I know how to use my hands, contractor, decent salesman, which is, I've been a combination of those things forever, with having your own business. But, if you, whatever you know how to do, just try to figure out how you can do that, on your own.
Or even just the willingness to learn how to do something. I do see so many people that feel like they're so stuck in one lane. And they're like, well, I don't know what else I'm going to do. It's like, well, you could figure out how to run a pressure washer, and you can go knock on doors, and you can pressure wash driveways and sidewalks. I mean,
it's something. Pressure washing, again, that's like everybody thinks about pressure washing when they start a business.
Mow lawns.
When you're young, that's like, mow lawns. Oh my God. See, here's the problem. Pressure washing and mowing lawns, you are competing with the lowest people on the chain of income. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I remember a friend of mine bought a sprinkler company, and I said, what the hell did you do that for? And he said, it's a pretty good business. And I said, yeah, but your labor is like the most common. You're talking about ditch diggers, absolute ditch diggers. Yeah. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying your margin on ditch digging is pretty set. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But you can build and scale a business. Again, it takes an entrepreneur to do that.
Yeah, I just see got so many variables, and I don't like being dependent on people terribly.
No, I understand. You made it perfectly clear. Real estate is the way to go.
I want on the walls.
I 100% agree. I also know people that are millionaires running lawn care business. So all that to say, there are other options besides whatever you got laid off from.
Yeah.
There's things better than
and there's
lawn
people
mowing.
that have talent that you don't even realize they have it until they expose it to you, and then you realize, oh damn, there's people that can do a lot of different things, right. And
PGM said, Tom, you said you're an inventor. Are you manufacturing anything in the USA?
Yeah. Some camera cranes.
Yeah,
camera cranes, and the thing is that you can't really get a lot of stuff. You can't get made. You can't get well-made products over in China, anyways. Taiwan's a little more evolved. Japan, of course, is great. But yeah, I do. To answer your question, I still, But but it's a dying business. Let me tell you, it's very tough being a manufacturer of any kind in the USA. India and China will copy your products, and then you'll see an identical copy of your product being sold on eBay or Amazon. Right. That you can't do anything about it. Unless if it's patented. And believe me, I've sued people in Israel. I've sued people in China over patent infringement on patents that I have on my little inventions, and but a lot of times what it comes down to is the USA has always been the biggest market. So a lot of times you have to, the way you control somebody from an infringement on your patent is you sue the people that are selling the product. And then they just we're not getting in a lawsuit, or we're trying to sell this product. And that's how you can intimidate and fight them back.
Yeah.
Is you sue the people that sell it, and they're
Yeah.
like, we're not touching this. That's what puts them out of business.
Cool.
Anyways,
Very good. Well,
ready to wrap up?
yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap up for the day. Guys, if you could help us out, help the channel, greatly appreciate hit the subscribe button, the like button. The cool thing about the subscribe button, and this is just me as a viewer talking, because I'm not in every video, but I'll be at home making dinner or mowing the grass or whatever. I'm like, oh, Tom's going live, and I click in, and it's good to hear a video dropped right away. So hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. We would appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you later.